Hey there, everybody. Seja Popham here, founder of the School of Evolutionary Herbalism. And thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to watch and or listen to the content here. And in this week's episode, we're going to be talking a bit about bitters. Bitters are a really common category of herbal medicine that pretty much is universally used to support digestion. And while bitters are amazing and incredible in all the many ways in which they support the digestive system, they're not always the most appropriate type of remedy for people to use. And I think in our modern world, where it seems like almost everyone has a digestive symptom of some sort, bitters are becoming significantly more and more popular, I guess, and just commonly used by layfolk that maybe aren't necessarily herbalists. And so I think there's some dangers there in terms of whether bitters are necessarily appropriate for a certain person with a certain constitution to be taking. And then there's also the question recently came to me in regards to whether someone could actually get dependent on bitters, the way in which bitters stimulate our bile secretions and digestive enzymes and stomach acid and all the ways in which they make the whole GI secrete. Is there a possibility of our body becoming dependent on that kind of bitter stimulation in order for those secretions to happen? And so that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video, and also covering what I see as three really important things to consider and make sure to address when treating especially chronic digestive symptoms, right? Even if it's something as mild as, gas or bloating or sensations of fullness and things like that. Things that we might not consider like major digestive symptoms. Maybe they're more in the category of a minor annoyance. They are still important things to treat because it might be indicating something going on a deeper level. But there are three main factors that I think are really important as herbalists for us to consider when we're treating the digestive system that can be really easy to overlook. So be sure to stay tuned to the end of the video to learn what those three things are. Thank you so much for watching or listening to the content. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment, share with friends and family. That is a really simple way that you can just help to support the channel here. And we always really appreciate all of the engagement and interaction with the community there. So thanks so much, everybody. And hopefully you learned something good here in this video. All right, question 2, David from David Danner in the Vitalist Herbal Practitioner Program. If a client is using bitters before a meal, will the body eventually become dependent on the bitters for normal bodily function / bile secretions? Yeah, that's a really good question, David. This is actually a question that I have personally wondered myself. And I'm not totally sure I know the answer. I would say I don't know here's the facts, right? What I can share with you is just my guess based on my understanding of the way bitters work and the way digestion works. In general, I don't necessarily know if the body can become dependent on them. What I do know is that an excessive use or too prolonged use of bitters can lead to some coldness in the digestive system because those bitters are constantly cooling you down, right? So with that constant cold property of the bitters, it can lead to cold digestion, which in some people is not good. This is why usually they're formulated with some warming carminatives like fennel and angelica, caraway, cardamom, things like that, warming spices, oregano, rosemary, etc. But yeah, I mean, if someone like absolutely has to take their bitters before a meal, because if they don't, they get gas and bloating and this and that and the other, it's like, okay, well, what's really going on here? Like, why is your body not digesting well? And so in a way, I think bitters can potentially just be more palliative rather than a longer term curative agent. Sometimes they are, right? I mean, sometimes people just need to take some bitters for a while to kind of retrain the body, like, okay, like reset their liver, reset their gallbladder, get things moving again, and then they're good. But if someone's really dependent on it, I think it's worth exploring potential deeper things going on there. Food intolerance obviously is a big one here. The other one would be antibiotic trauma. Probiotics are usually really important for people that have chronic digestive issues. That's a pretty blanket statement. It's not always that way, but I would say in general, that's a pretty safe assumption. Yeah, food intolerance and antibiotic trauma. Well, I would say those are really two important things to screen for. And then the other thing is like nervous system health, like, because the important thing to understand is that your whole digestive system is governed by the autonomic nervous system, specifically the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. So in that way, like, none of that whole stuff works if someone's stressed out all the time. So like, yeah, bitters are good, but maybe they need work on their nervous system, right? Maybe they need to learn how to chill out and like calm down. Maybe they're burned out and they need to like replenish and rejuvenate their nervous system so that they can be a little more even keeled and calm, so that then they will digest better. Right? So I feel like it's super important to not overlook the importance of the nervous system and its role in governing and determining the health of the digestive system. It's an easy thing to overlook, right? Oh, we've got to, I mean, it's so easy to just turn to bitters, right? Oh, something wrong in the GI. Well, bitters are good for digestion, right? We all know that. And they usually have a pretty noticeable effect. But sometimes they're just kind of working on that surface level. Sometimes there's something a little deeper going on there that is the reason why someone's having digestive issues. So I think those three factors are really important to consider when, especially if you're addressing someone with chronic digestive system problems, right? What are the foods they're putting in their mouth every day, and are they potentially intolerant or allergic to any of those foods? That's like key. Number two is, have they ever had to take antibiotics that kind of wiped out their gut flora? That's usually the case with a lot of folks, especially as antibiotics are just overprescribed in general. At least they are here in the United States. And then third is going to be, the state of the nervous system. I think addressing those three things very, very important when you are assessing, especially chronic digestive system issues. So hope that answers your question there, David. Thanks for the good one. I mean, as far as the bitters being, the body becoming dependent on the bitters, I do think, I think it's possible, maybe, but I think it's also the need to have that deeper level reset happen, because the bile secretions are determined by the parasympathetic nervous system. So if that's not happening, perhaps just straight bitters will help aid in that release, but really the deeper level nervous system reset is going to help the body to kind of be retrained, reattuned to when to secrete bile at the appropriate time. So great question there.